Welcome to Nevertheless, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you will discover how to discern your essence and live powerful.
Hello guys, welcome to Nevertheless, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. My name has not changed. It is Bidemi Mark-Mordi, and hopefully it will remain that way for a very long time. How are you guys doing? I have exciting news. I'm tired, but I have exciting news, and that's more than enough adrenaline to keep me going. How did your week go? Before I tell you my news, how did your week go? Did you take a look at the last show that I talked about patterns? Have you taken 2 steps back to take another look at the patterns of your life and your dream work? I got some feedback on that particular show, and part of it was people were asking me what if they were not even sure what their pattern was. And maybe, just maybe, I'll do a follow-up someday on the issue of patterns. But the truth of the matter is that every one of us, whether we're conscious of it or not, we have patterns. There are cycles in our life that just keep going. If you take a very good look at your life, you'll notice that your life is always one side. Let's even go to fashion. Have you noticed that what our grandmas wore in the 60s and the 40s is slowly coming back into fashion? I have gone through some fashion cycle like 3 times already, and I'm only in my 4th decade. So imagine what it is that your own life is like when you take 2 steps back and try and look at it properly. So every dream, every business, every vision, every marriage has a pattern. And the patterns are 2 ways. They can either be destructive or a value add. So you need to take 2 steps back. Take steps back and look at your life. You will discover the patterns. I can't sit here and tell you what your pattern is, because the life is yours, the dream is yours, the vision is yours, the journey is your own. Now that I have said that, I want to let the cat out of the bag. What are we going to be talking about today? Today I want to be looking at potential. I know we've talked about potential a lot of times, but I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle, I hope. Or maybe it's not exactly different. Maybe it will be a reiteration of what we've talked about in the past. Whichever way it comes to you at, know that this is important. You know that if it was not important, I don't bring it to you. When I come back, we will dig into when your potential can be the reason why you don't move forward. Don't go away.
Are you frustrated and tired of life? Do you feel trapped in life's maze and don't seem to find your way? Or are you passionate about your purpose and destiny and want to find out more? Then get a copy of DNA. DNA, Destiny Navigational Application, is a book written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, where she coaches you to distill the answer to the cry of purpose, mandate, and significance. She teaches you how to discern your essence, discover your God-given mandate, deploy power, and demonstrate dominion. Get a copy of Destiny Navigational Application from any bookstore near you, or call 234-813-360-2883, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order now.
Welcome back. It's still the Nevertheless show, and today I said we're looking at the subject matter of potential. How when you don't recognize what it is that you carry or what you have inside of you, the tendency is that destiny can be destroyed. I'm talking to you about when, because you don't recognize your potential, you stand the risk of losing out on a fantastic and powerful life. This week, we opened the doors to the Purpose University, and I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am. I'm excited that, yes, we have students register for the course. That's an excitement on its own, that you would put something out and people can identify with the value that you're bringing and register. So I say thank you to everyone who registered. But I'm more excited because this dream of a Purpose University has been long coming. It started as an idea that I had over 10 years ago for the youth fellowship that I used to run called In Season. And we sat down and we put together the curriculum and everything, but somehow the issue of timing probably, we couldn't push it through. Then I can tell you that between those 10 years and now, we have gone through a revamping of the idea and enhancing of the idea over 4 times before we arrived at what today is Purpose University. And so the doors opened on Monday, and every time I see a message, a notification that someone had posted in the group, I just feel another level of excitement to be able to see that somehow I'm able to touch lives regardless of the fact that most of these people are not where I'm at. We have people registered from Europe. We have people registered from Abuja. We have people registered from across the globe for a university that is being run by me. That is a great validation. But how did we come here? Or how did we get to the place where I can actually put something out and say that I want to run a Purpose University, and people would respond? And they not only respond, they come back with feedback daily since Monday to say that they have received value already, even though they've only just gone through the second module of the course. How did we get here? We got here through potential. Remember I said that we're going to be talking about potential today, the danger of not opening your eyes to potential. A lot of us have things that God has gifted us with. We are gifted with all kinds of tremendous things. There is not one of us who does not have a gift. But most of us take a look at what we've been given, and because it seems like maybe too small, maybe too common, maybe it doesn't look like it's, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word that says, that speaks to the value of that thing. And then we begin to look down at what it is that we've been given. If you remember, all the potential I have in the word is hinged on one thing, the ability to use words. All the potential I have in the word. There is nothing else. I can cook, yes, but it was a skill I developed because my mom was a good cook. She taught me how to cook. But this ability to use words is something that just came. I came from the shop with it. I came from heaven with it. And I remember when I started out, people used to say to me that ordinary words, what will you do with your words? What is it? Every other person can use words. What's fantastic? What's unique about your own ability to use words? And I must confess here that I listened to them, and there were a lot of times that I took 2 steps back. And I didn't do anything about what it was that I was convinced in my heart that I could be doing. But after a while, when I had nothing else to lose, I had lost everything, I had to come out and say, well, at least let it be that even if I died doing this, I died trying. When I started out, it wasn't that I was convinced that I would succeed. I started out because I was tired of not doing. And I wanted to be one of those people who did. It doesn't matter whether I hit the mark or not. I just wanted to be able to, the records to show that I tried my best. And to now open a university that people who already have PhD degrees are registered, and they can still see value in what it is that I am bringing, just tells me that you cannot undermine the potential that you carry. Now, how do we get to the place where we recognize our potential, we give our potential the opportunity of a full life? It begins with asking God. I know a lot of us, or maybe some of us, don't think that I'm too quote and unquote churchy in my posts, but I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's who I am, and that's where I get my power from. So the first step is you need to go back to God and ask Him to open your eyes to what you carry. When I say open your eyes, it's not so much the recognition that you have something. It is the recognition of the value of what you have. Yes, I know that every potential comes as a raw material, and I can understand that when it is in the rough, it doesn't look like much. But I'm saying that if you will ask God, He will open your eyes. He's such a faithful Father that He will open your eyes to see with the mind of the Spirit, what can come out of that rough thing that is in your hands. Then you need to, once you get to that place that you can see where it is that whatever your potential is will take you, please begin to talk about it. I do not subscribe to the school of thought that when you share the dreams that God puts in your heart, that people will steal them. I'm not saying people don't try to steal your ideas. I'm just saying that if someone steals my idea for Purpose University today, I promise you one thing, they will not be able to do it as well as I'm doing it. And it's not because I'm doing it fantastically like that. It's just that there is something that is inside of me that I bring. If not anything, one thing that I know I bring to Purpose University is personal touch. I'm not that person who puts everyone in a group and forgets them. I still try to reach them as individuals. So even if you take the idea of Purpose Investing, you think you know the idea, you take it and you try to run with it, I promise you, you will not be able to deliver on it like Bidemi Mark-Mordi delivers on it. So speak about what God has shown you. I can't remember the scripture exactly, but it says shout on the rooftops what God showed you in your secret place. Let them begin to know that I may not look like it yet, but here I am and I am going this way. This is where I'm going. Because here's what happens when you begin to talk about it. And please don't ask for my head here. I am very convinced, because it has happened to me, that when you begin to talk about where you want to go, the universe begins to align. Life begins to align. God begins to gather the people. Things just begin to happen that begin to set the stage, give you the tools you need. Accidents become purposeful. Coincidences become purposeful. You know, there is nothing that now happens in your life that you cannot see the finger of God in. And once you can see the finger of God in the good, the bad, the ugly of your life, there is no way you cannot end up powerful. So talk about it. Another thing that happens when you begin to talk about the dream that is in your heart, or the potential that you've seen you have inside of you and where it can potentially get you to, is that the idea begins to refine itself. The more you speak about it, the more you share it with the right kind of people, the better your idea becomes, because without even making an effort, they will make very meaningful contributions, that because that thing is inside of your womb, you will recognize meaningful contributions more than anybody at the table will. So you get an enhancing by sharing. Recognize that your potential is a seed, and it comes with the potential. Yes, your potential comes with the potential for a great harvest. I'm not just using words. I'm very deliberate about the words that I'm using this morning. And it will start small. So when you recognize it and you begin to talk about it, it means to me at the back of my mind that you have accepted that this is the journey for your life. And I promise you something, if people are real with you, they will tell you that you can go round and round and round trying to do every other thing. At 70, if the Lord spares your life, you will come back to this thing that I'm talking to you about today. So here's the idea. Why don't you start early? Accept it and begin to do whatever it is that you need to do to sow it into the ground, because it's a seed if you want to see that harvest. Now we're moving away from the place of discerning and understanding the potential in your potential. When I come back, I'll talk to you a bit about the process of deploying your potential. Please don't go away.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life's just simple. Don't worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi shares powerful insight and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, Nevertheless. Nevertheless is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of Nevertheless from a bookstore near you, or call 234-813-360-2883, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order now. I guarantee you will make it nevertheless.
Welcome back. So So I was talking to you earlier on about understanding or discerning your potential, and understanding the power or the potential power that is within your potential. I said that when we come back, I'll begin to talk to you about the process that you need to submit your potential to if you will get to where it is that God has shown you. Now, every process begins with a mindset, and that is the mindset of discipline. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can deliver on their potential except they submit to discipline. This morning I shared something that the Lord laid in my heart in a group that I belonged in, and someone responded by saying, Father, whatever you're doing in this season, please don't do it without me. If you need to stretch me, please stretch me. And someone responded, Amen. And another person came and said, before I respond amen to your prayer, let me ask you, do you truly want God to stretch you? And the other person responded, she said, sometimes stretching is required. And all I did was I laughed out loud, or in that conversation that they were having. I laughed because yes, we want to be stretched, but we don't like the discomfort that comes with stretching. Now you have recognized the power or the potential power in your potential. And I'm saying to you, submit yourself to discipline. You need to discipline yourself. The Bible says it like this. It says the spirit of the prophet is subject to the control of the prophet. You are the first person who will keep yourself down. You are the first person who would determine that you would deliver on what it is that you need to deliver on. You are the first person who is going to stand and say, here's where I'm going, and nobody's going to stop me. You are the only person who will say, I need to make a sacrifice, and I will make it, and I will make it now. All of these are the different phases of discipline. You are the one who will say, I will delay my gratification. All of this are the different phases of discipline. So you cannot begin to allow the process of your potential becoming the finished product kick in, except you have a meeting with yourself and determine and settle that you will be disciplined. Now, how does discipline play out, or how does it play out sometimes? It will begin by you identifying the right soil in which you will sow the seed of your potential. What does this mean in layman terms? It means that every potential has a target audience. And for you to be able to deliver on it, you have to make sure that it is targeted at the right audience. So part of identifying your right soil is knowing who your potential is meant to serve. When you know who it is meant to serve, it now begins to determine the language that you will use in putting it together. It begins to determine the neighborhood that you are going to set up in. It begins to determine your costing, if it's something that people are going to pay for. It begins to determine the symbolic status that you give to your potential. All of these come from identifying the right soil. Now, when you identify the soil, if we go a bit into farming and agric, you know that when you have a seed and you have identified that this seed is healthy enough to be planted and that it can yield a harvest, and you have identified the right soil, what's the component of the right soil? The right soil would consist of somewhere that water, if water is required for that seed to grow properly, somewhere that water can be accessed. The right soil means that the soil itself has the right nutrients. You don't want to take a seed that would do well in maybe in a muddy environment, and go and sow it in a sandy environment. So you have determined all of that. Now, when the farmer puts his seed down into the ground, he doesn't go home and fall asleep. He comes back to nurture. If for any reason there is a dry spell and there is no water, he considers irrigation. If for any reason, maybe as the seed begins to grow, he notices that birds are likely to come and pull it and take it away, or pull it out of the ground, he sets up caricatures to scare them away, or scarecrows to scare them away. He puts all of these things in. Why does he do that? He does that because a seed put in the ground, or potential put in the ground and not nurtured, is a waste of time and a waste of valuable resource. So when you have determined the soil that you want to put your potential in, and you have put your potential into that soil you want to nurture. In my case, I will pray. I will make the requisite sacrifices that I need to make. I would continue to get better in what I'm doing. I will study if necessary. I would try and acquire the skills that I need if necessary. All because God put a seed inside of me. Now, in the process of discipline, there's also something that stands out that you must know about. It is called an exercising of the spirit of patience. A lot of us are in such a hurry. We discover the potential today. We want to deliver the finished product tomorrow. Nothing that is worth pushing happens suddenly. I told you that the seed that has become Purpose University today started 10 years ago. Now, it's not 10 years, I promise you, that I came every day to investigate and look at it. But it was 10 years that I never let that idea die in my spirit. It was 10 years that maybe once in a year, maybe once in 6 months, I would bring out that, that notebook where I wrote that dream, and I'll take a look at it again. It was 10 years in which there were years that I didn't even think it was ever going to happen again, but it didn't stop me from dreaming about it. 10 years later, Purpose University is born. Talk to me about purpose. In these 10 years, a lot of refining had happened. Even the name had changed. But the idea was always the same. Help people discover their purpose and get powerful with living it. So you need to be patient. This is God and this is your life. What's your hurry about? I want to say a few things and I will close this show. But the first thing I want to say is that a purposeless life is potential that is wasted. However, potential not discovered is an accidental life waiting to happen. So you can't live your life on purpose until you are sure that you know what it is that you have been gifted with. One great resource for you to pull through if you can't join Purpose University, because we're still taking a few slaggards here and there, is to, order my book, Destiny Navigational Application. All of these things I'm talking to you about are laid out there properly. Now, I want to go further to say that production is proof that you have potential. Production is proof that your life came with a potential. So you cannot tell me, I'm potentially this and potentially that, and then you are not producing. Again, it's a waste of time. The third bold statement I want to make today is that once you have no production, then you cannot rule. Meanwhile, you are put on earth so that you can rule as God's ambassador in the earth. So if you're on earth and you're not ruling in whatever sphere you are, and when I'm talking about ruling, I'm not talking about crowns and thrones. I'm talking about impacts and change. I'm talking about replenishing the earth. So the reason why I push my potential and I'm willing to stretch it till everything that is inside of me is birth is because I don't want to be that person who disappointed God and I did not live my life to the fullest. When I come back, I'll talk to you a bit about rulership and then I'll land this thing. Please don't go away. Hi, I'm Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Many years ago, someone told me, Bidemi, you have a purpose here on earth. And this was at a time when my life was hovering on the verge of breaking because I was constantly and persistently depressed. That statement sent me on a journey to discover who I really am. I discovered that I'm a helper of destinies. What are you good for? Have you ever wondered what separates successful people from average and mediocre people? The one thing I have discovered is purpose. That is why after years of fear and living under depression and depressive thoughts, I chose purpose, and today I live powerful. You want to live powerful too? Then join me on Purpose University, a home for you who want a life beyond the ordinary. To be the best you is what we're about. Welcome. This ride will change your life. Thanks for staying with me. One of the last statements I made is that we are put on earth to rule, and that rulership only happens by what we produce. So your potential is the seed that you need to process so that you can produce, and by your production you will begin to rule your piece of the earth. A lot of us want to be relevant. That's what rulership is about. A lot of us want to be that person, that person whom people look at and say, but for you. That's what production is about. There is not one of us, and this has nothing to do with whether you're a Christian or not a Christian. There's not one individual on earth, even the poorest of us, even the most disadvantaged of us, want our lives to count for something. And that's what all of this is about. But do you know that so that your life can count for something, what God put inside of you is potential? So the question I'm asking again is, are your eyes open to your potential? Do you recognize how potentially powerful you are as an individual by that tiny seed that God dropped inside of your DNA when He was creating you? You cannot live the kind of life that we're talking about, a life that is powerful, if you have not discovered what God put inside of you. Now, I know that a lot of us have dreams. But next week when I come, I'm going to be talking to us about how our dreams can kill our purpose, because even that happens. But today, that's not the gist. The gist today is that you are a dynamite waiting to happen. And all that it takes is for you to ask God to open your eyes, look deep within you, and identify the first thing that God has given you. Now, that is an instinctive walk. And one thing I know about instinct and the Spirit of God and living a life that is powerful is that when it comes to God, your first thought is the most powerful thought. So when you look within you today and all you can find, the first thing you can find is maybe compassion. Don't say, oh, compassion, that's not useful. I tell you, many have built a great business and a great dream out of compassion. So whatever it is that you find, write it down. Begin to trouble it. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to your trusted, maybe your pastor, maybe I don't know who your support group is, but talk to them about it. Say, all I can find within me is compassion. Do you think that compassion is useful? And the more you trouble it, the more clarity you get. The more clarity you get, the more determined you will be to want to bet what it is that you carry. Before I go, I'm still basking in the euphoria from the return of the Helper Conference. That's another thing that came out of one tiny potential that God opened my eyes to see inside of me. This week the DVDs are out. I know that some of you have started to call already to order the DVDs. But today the DVDs are out. You can begin to make your order now. If you call the number that we have on the website or somewhere, you'll be able to reach the people who are in charge of the DVD, make your payments, and create your own betting stool experience. Also, if you still want to be part of Purpose University, you are very welcome. You can send me an email, bidemi@bidemimark-mordi.com, and we'll consider giving you a slot. There's a great work happening in that place, and if you feel like you need it, then today is a great day to register. Till next week when I'll come your way again, remember that when you discover purpose, you live a powerful life. And based on what we have learned today, a powerful life only happens if you recognize the potential within your potential. May God bless you. Thanks for taking this journey with me.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 0813-360-2883 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimark-mordi.com. Don't forget that when you discover your purpose, you will live powerful.